said, my name is Glenn. I have a nickname though that I like to go by. Oh, by the way, if you use my name Glenn, it's a 2N Glenn. Not to offend any 1N Glens out there, but it's a different name. So if you just say 2 N's, you know. But I have a nickname.
Glenn with 2 N's.
Glenn with 2 N's. There you go. I have a nickname. If you don't like the name Glenn, people call me the Bear. So if you see me around, you want to go, hey Bear, that works too. I'm here with. I brought my son Graham. I have a how old is he now? 9-year-old son Graham in the back.
Yeah.
One of my young life guys, Mike.
Yeah, Mike.
And it's good to be here with my people because I grew up in Buffalo. I mean, I live in a place like Buffalo. There's no other people like people from Buffalo. I'm raising my son to be a Bills fan. My wife and I have been married for 13 years, and she became a Bills fan because of me. But for the last 13 years, she'd be going, "Why do we like this team?" And I tell her, "Just wait, it'll get better." And it's gotten better a little bit this year. One of the things I love being an ambassador for around is Buffalo. I love chicken wings. If you cut me, I bleed chicken wing sauce. Okay, I love it. And who's here from Clarence?
Yeah!
Way back in the day when I was in college, I was a Young Life leader at Clarence High School. And I got involved with Young Life at Amherst High School, and my leader was this guy named Mike Kramer. And he's kind of a short guy, like about this height. He's about half my weight. But he's the toughest guy I've ever met. And still to this day, I just don't want to mess with cranes. And one time he took us on a Young Life trip to a place called Saranac Village, which is one of these Young Life camps. Young Life has these great places. And if you've never been to a Young Life camp, you got to sign up to go. You got to go this summer because it's incredible. But we were at Young Life camp, and this particular weekend, the guys were staying on the second floor, and the girls were staying on the first floor of the lodge. And so, it's time to go to bed, and we're kind of getting ready to go to bed. And we turned the lights off because it's time to go to bed. But we didn't really want to go to bed. Kramer wanted us to go to bed. And so what we did is we sat and we wrestled. So we were in our beds, and then two guys had decided it's time to wrestle. So they would meet in the middle of the room in the dark, and they'd wrestle, make all kinds of noise. Kramer would get upset, like he'd be in his bed just stewing, and then he would sneak out of his bed, sneak into the middle, grab the two guys, like knock their heads and throw them back in their beds. And then they'd be quiet, we'd giggle for a little bit, and then two other guys inside, hey, it's time to go. And so they would meet in the middle, they'd wrestle again, Kramer sneak out of his bed again and get him and throw him back. And that was going on for a while. We were making noise. And at one point, these guys were wrestling, making all kinds of noise, and there was a knock at the door. Bam, bam, bam! And we all went silent, just like that, like we haven't been doing anything. Kramer gets up. This is why he's the toughest guy I've ever met. He walks up to the door. He opens the door. Light from the hallway streams in. We all were blinded by the light. Standing there in the hallway is this little blonde girl leader in her nightgown with her hair pulled back into a ponytail, standing there like this. Not happy with Kramer. He looks at her. He puts his finger to his mouth and he says, "Shh, we'll wrestle." You gotta love Young Life. I mean, this is great. I've never seen anything so tough in my whole life. And then he turned around and said, "Okay, now everybody go to bed." And we did. At this point in our relationship, I need to tell you something about myself. We're just kind of getting started. You're just kind of getting to know me. And there's something I need to tell you. This is something that I told my wife, second date. We weren't married at the time, obviously. But the second day, we're having dinner with her mom, and I said, "There's something I need to tell you." And she looked at me like, "Oh no!" And you might be wondering. And here it is. I'm just gonna put this out here. I've never eaten an egg. Not only that. Yeah, I don't like eggs, and I've never eaten an egg. I've never had an egg because I don't like them. And then the question goes, how do you know you don't like them if you've never tried one? Well, here's how I know. They're disgusting. They're repulsive in every possible way. They smell awful. They look disgusting. They're all squishy and God, they're awful. They're repulsive in every other way. Why would I want to try to eat the egg? Because it's just awful. Now, some people will say, well, certainly you've had eggs in cookies and cakes, and if you want to count cookies and cakes, go ahead. I've even had like little pieces of scrambled egg in my fried rice. You know, if you want to count that, that's fine, but I can't taste it. Okay? Poached egg, scrambled egg, eggs over easy, fried egg, deviled egg. Never had an egg in my whole life. Isn't that it's a little? I know it's a little strange. I just wanted to get that out there so you kind of knew me a little bit. Now, I know it really does. It kind of breaks that barrier. Some of my friends who have known me for a long time think this is a ridiculous thing about Glenn, and it really bothers them. And so they've threatened me over the years, Glenn, we are going to get some really big guys. We're going to hold you down, and we are going to force feed you eggs. And let me tell you, there's nothing more terrifying in my life than that prospect. But even if they did it, they would not succeed in what they're trying to do, which is to get me to like eggs. Right? Because you guys know, if you try to force feed somebody anything, it doesn't work so good. They're going to try to get the eggs down, and I'm just going to spit it right back out. Here's why I tell you that story. And why I tell you that, that deep, dark secret about my life. Is we're going to talk about Jesus this weekend. And we talk about Jesus in Young Life because we believe that he's the most compelling, exciting person to ever live. But we know the lesson of the egg in Young Life. And the lesson of the egg is, nobody likes anything forced on them. And what I want you to know is that we're going to talk about Jesus, but in a way that we hold the truth before you and ask you to think about it. Or you don't even have to think about it if you don't want to, but to think about it for yourselves and to make your own decision. I never wanted to spend any time, when I was a kid growing up in Amherst High School, I never wanted to spend any time around Jesus people. Because I was afraid they were going to push Jesus on me, and I just didn't want that. We're going to talk about Jesus this weekend, but hopefully in a way that you feel respected and you feel like I have the freedom to think about this for myself and to make my own decision. So we've learned the lesson of the egg. Now, when I talk about Jesus Christ, when I say those words, it's funny because people have all kinds of ideas, all kinds of pictures running through their heads. I know that I had a picture in my room or in our house growing up of Jesus. And sometimes when I think of him, that's the picture I imagine. Sort of soft, long, flowing hair. And you might have an idea of who Jesus is. And I think the ideas that we get sometimes are kind of funny. And I have some pictures to show you what I mean. I'm going to kind of make fun of these pictures. I'm not making fun of Jesus. I'm making fun of the pictures, okay? Just so you know, making fun of some of the ideas we get about Jesus. So, Nathan, here we go. Okay. Can we get those lights down? This is sort of a standard picture of Jesus, if you can see it. There we go. Okay, so he's got the robe, he's holding the lamb, he's got the glow behind the head, he's having a good hair day. Okay, so let's go to the next one. Okay, now this is sort of the rugged looking off into the distance Jesus. He's got the good beard working. Sort of a classic picture. Okay, let's go to the next one. Okay, we've got touchdown Jesus. That's good. Okay, again, he's working the good hair. Next one. Okay, this one, Jesus going hunting. He's packing heat. Jesus has got a gun. And look out. I bet he's a good shot. Next one. Okay, now this one, I'm not an art guy. looks like a picture of Jesus choking a small child. Okay, the next one. Captain Jack Jesus. Go that way. Okay, next one. Jesus CEO. He's making deals. The other guy's going, I thought we had a deal. Jesus offered me something better. Next one. Who can throw it down like Jesus? Next one. Disco Jesus. Again, the lamb. He's got the lamb working. Citrus Jesus. He likes orange juice, I guess. Vitamin C. What is number 21 thinking? Do not let us sap Jesus. How you doing, Jesus? That's it. You know, we get some of those pictures in our heads, and some of those we've never seen before, with all these different ideas and sort of caricatures of this person, Jesus, kind of floating around out there. He becomes a cartoon. He becomes somebody that we have no idea the content of what's behind the mustache and the beard and the long flowing hair. We kind of throw into him whatever we want. The question is, how do you get to know the real Jesus? How do you get to know what he's really like? And that's what I hope to be able to present to you guys this weekend. And the source of that information, the way that we get to know, is in this book right here. This is the Bible. And, you know, the funny thing about this book is that it's the all-time best-selling book. Every year, in and out, this book sells more copies than any other book. The all-time bestseller. It's the book about the life of Jesus Christ. And you know what? So many of us know so little of what's in here. And it's a shame, because what's in here is exciting. It's tremendous what you find when you open these pages and start to look. And so we're just going to take a few minutes and take a look at one event from the life of Christ tonight and see what's in here that's going to help us to get past some of these cartoons that we have in our head when we think about the person of Jesus. I'm going to be reading tonight from the book of Luke, starting in chapter 19. And here we go. It says this. It says, Jesus entered a town called Jericho and made his way through the town. One thing, if you've never even really considered who Jesus is before, one of the things you got to know is that he traveled from place to place when he was walking on this earth, and he walked from place to place, and crowds followed him everywhere he went. One of the things that's amazing to look at the scriptures is you see that everywhere he went, there were crowds following after him. They wanted to be near him. They wanted to find out, what's he going to do next? And this particular day, he's entering Jericho, and news must have gotten to Jericho ahead of time that he was on his way. Because what happens is that a crowd lines the street. You guys ever been to a parade before? You've seen a parade? This is like people getting ready for a parade. They've got their seats early. They're lined up. They've got their lawn chairs sitting out by the curb. They're waiting for Jesus to come on by because they want to get their look. They're all lined up and ready to go. It says that there was a man in this town named Zacchaeus. He was the chief tax collector in the region, and he had become very rich. This guy Zacchaeus, we know just a little bit about him from reading, but we can know a little bit more if we think. There's a couple of things, a couple of clues in here. It says that he was a tax collector, and that he was very rich. Zacchaeus was a Jew, and at this time, the Jews, the Jewish nation, was occupied by the Romans. So the Roman Empire had sort of taken over, and they were going to run the town. And what they would do is they would hire Jews to collect money, to collect taxes from their own people. So rather than having Romans walk up to Jews and say, give me the money, they would hire Jews to go to their own people, basically to work for the man. And it said that Zacchaeus had become very rich doing this. How do you become rich being a tax collector? Here's how it would work. Zacchaeus would walk up, maybe with 2 Roman guards behind him, knock on the door. Taxes, please. Time to pay your taxes. $1,000. And they would go, I only owe $500. He would look to his right and his left. Roman guards behind him, big strong guys with weapons, and say, we might have to come inside and check around. basically threaten him. And they would come out and give him $1,000. He would take 500, put it in his pocket, 500, put it in the tax box. See how somebody could become rich doing that? Using the power of the Romans to extort people, to extort money from his own people. One more thing we can know about Zacchaeus from this is that he would not have been liked in his town. Stealing money from his own people, using the power of the Romans to do it. He would have been hated, right? Working for the man, stealing money from his own people. So Jesus is on his way into town. People had lined the streets waiting to see him. And there's this rich tax collector whom everyone hates in the crowd. It says Zacchaeus wanted to get a look at Jesus, but he was too short to see over the crowd. Short guy. 4 or 5 rows deep of people lined up in the street wanting to see Jesus. And he's looking going, I can't see over. Anyway, he didn't get a seat early. He didn't show up early enough to get a front row seat. And from the back, he can't see. And he can't sneak in. He's going, hey, can I get through? And everyone's going, get out of here, Zacchaeus. We're your guards. Get out of here. So he has an idea. It says he ran ahead and climbed a tree beside the road, for Jesus was going to